We were waiting for the development period, so we got thrown off.
I walked over here early.
We're like trained dogs. Yeah.
I know.
We're trained dogs.
And listen, you got to be able to adjust.
That's
Great
right.
ones adjust.
Yeah.
So look, again, I thought another pretty good practice. We got a lot of situational work done again. We're out here a little bit less time today by design. I think our guys have been given everything they got in terms of practicing with the right type of intensity, the right type of effort, the right mindset. So we cut back, a little bit today. We'll cut back again a little bit tomorrow. And it sucks when you lose your pen, you know what I mean? Like that's your job. The great ones adjust. I like that. That was pretty cool. I saw that whole thing happening. All right, all good. Next pin up. That's right. All right. So, look. We've got some good work here. So we got another, kind of a good day of practice tomorrow, and then kind of start getting ready for San Francisco. So.
What if Floggerly went?
Back.
Hey, how do you feel about the run game so far? I know it's still early. But
Well, look, that's really kind of hard to tell. Again, we're not in live game action, tackling, all those kinds of things. I would say there was a couple of plays, and in particular, I thought the first play of the game, against Arizona looked like a real run. And yet I think there's some things that we can maybe get cleaned up there that maybe that is more than just a 5-yard run. So I think it's still kind of to be determined. I'm encouraged by some of the things I've seen in the run game. But I think it's still to be determined.
And how important is that for you and what you all want to do this year? Being able to control that line of scrimmage?
Yeah, well, look, I think this. I think being able to run the football, I think, is the foundation to having a good offense. I can go back to a lot of the years that we were really good offensively here, and certainly we threw the ball well, but our most successful teams, in terms of win-loss, were able to run the football. And so I think running the football is extremely important. And certainly, if you're able to run the ball effectively, I think, that opens up some things in the play-action passing game. And so, it's something that we need to do well.
Could Fuaga play this weekend if needed, or is that a precautionary thing?
Listen, I have no idea. I mean, all I know is they took him in probably during the individual period. He had some back tightness. Looked to me like, prior to even starting practice, looked to me like he was kind of stretching his back out maybe a little bit. So I don't know if that was bothering him beforehand. So I would say this. I would say if he is a healthy body and capable of playing, then he'll play in the game. And if he's not, then he won't. But I really have no idea right now. I mean, the only thing I know is he had some back tightness.
Yeah, speaking of back tightness, I think it's worth clarifying since Alvin had missed time because of a contract issue earlier. His absence is definitely not
Zero related to contract. At least as far as I know, zero related. I mean, he's got some back tightness. This is something he's dealt with before, so I certainly wouldn't speculate in that realm.
That day for Jamal Williams, or is he dealing with something?
That day. Keep
I
going.
don't have anything.
What else you got?
Sorry. No, my bad.
What are your thoughts on Christian Boyd's camp so far?
A lot like most of these rookies, like a lot of good things. I see some things I'm encouraged by. I think he's a big physical player, and yet I think he's a pretty decent athlete for a guy his size. And so I see some things that I like, and then there's some fundamental and technique things that get him in trouble, and he ends up getting behind a block or something like that. And so those are all things that he has to, continue to improve on. I like his work ethic. I like that he's buying into the things that we're asking him to do. And I think he's a guy that we're counting on being able to help us this year.
Are you seeing so far what you expected from him when you made the draft selection?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was a 6th-round defensive tackle, and so, like, what we saw was developmental skill set that we liked. We certainly knew we weren't getting the polished product, but we did like his size. We liked his strength, and we liked his movement skills for a guy of his size. And I'm seeing some of those things show up.
How about
So in that regard, I'd say yes.
Kevin Austin? We're seeing the catches he's making.
Yeah.
What about all the things he needs to do as a receiver? How's he doing in camp?
Well, he certainly made a couple of plays. I mean, the play he made today was an outstanding play. I mean, huge play. Certainly catches everybody's eye. I think, you know, he had to play a lot of positions in the game the other day, and I think some of the wires got a little short-circuited. So, you know, I want to see him consistently knowing what to do, how to do it, and being able to execute it at a high level. And so I like some of the splash plays that I see. And much like a lot of these young guys, you know, I want to see a little more consistency.
Is it difficult to get a read on the first team defense with so many starters out, especially in the 2-minute situation today? Obviously, it didn't go particularly great at the end for the defense. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, again, I would say I like what I'm seeing from the guys that are out there. And in particular, I like some of the things I'm seeing out of our defensive line. I think we got a big physical group up front, and more so than that, like, they have the right demeanor and they play the right way. They play a tough, aggressive style of defense, a physical style of defense. And that's what wins in our league. And so I like that. And I think that, you know, the defense starts with the front and their ability to control the line of scrimmage. And so I see some good things out of that group. Like, I thought there were some things in terms of the pass rush in that 2-minute that was really good. And so, yeah, I'm in a good spot with what I think our defense can be.
Was there a challenge to that unit in particular? I mean, it's a lot of the same guys from last year. Is there like something you challenged them with this offseason?
Well, look, I think as you see, this, not necessarily those guys in particular, but our whole group defensively. I think we have a standard, and that standard's pretty freaking high. And so our expectation of how we're going to play needs to be better than it was last season. And so that's just what happens when you know, you have consistently played at a high level. The expectations are a lot more. I'm not talking about outside expectations. I'm talking about the expectations inside the building. I think all of our defense has taken to that, and they've attacked these practices with the right mindset. You know, you guys are out here at practice. I mean, there's not a lot of guys, you know, loafing around out here. There's some intent to what we're doing, and so, and I think that's what the foundation of what we built this defense on has been, and guys are, you know, getting back to that more. And look, that's on us as coaches. You know, that's the standard that, you know, we need to set, and then that goes through our, you know, veteran players to, you know, hold each other accountable to you know, play into that standard.
How big is this game just for guys battling for roster spots this stuff?
Well, look, I think they're all important for a lot of these guys. You know, so I mean, look, obviously, you know, we're playing a team that's has been over the last, you know, few years, and and is again another one of those teams that you know a lot of people are talking about as you know a contending team, and so it gives us you know an opportunity to kind of measure up a little bit. And yet I have no idea you know what their starting lineups are going to look like, and but you know we'll put 11 out there. I'm sure they will too, and we'll go play some football.
Yeah, do you have you talked at all about the usage of Alvin this year? I mean, does he have a magic number at all touches, or is he?
No,
is he,
I wouldn't say that that's been something that we've, you know, had discussions about how we use him, things we can do with him. Those have been discussions, but you know, in terms of touches or anything like that, that we haven't discussed that.
And how important will Taysom be into that, factor into that running game?
Well, I think he's going to factor into a lot of aspects of what we're doing offensively. You know, I think he's a good weapon for us to be able to utilize, and so we'll have to find what ways we can put him in the best position to, you know, help us play good offense and help us win games. And so I think both of those players that you mentioned are going to be, you know, key components to our offense.
With the pads off, just managing kind of the workload midway through.
Yeah.
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 And then-
I mean, this would have been the third day in a row in pads. So, and part of that is, you know, these guys have been practicing, you know, and so, you know, I felt like that was something that, you know, to kind of take the load off of them a little bit.
There was that moment in practice. You kind of told the guys on offense to like stop worrying about the refs. Basically, is that something that you feel like maybe needs to get under control? Like was that a problem last season, or was it just kind of heat of the moment thing?
No, it's just, look, here's the deal. Like, let's worry about the things that we can control. Okay? Let's don't put things in other people's hands. Let's don't expect the opposing team to make mistakes and allow us. Let's go out and take control of ourselves. And so, you know, I certainly don't spend a lot of time worrying about, you know, what calls we get or don't get. You know, let's go on to the next play. That's the one we have control over. That's the play that we can affect. And so, you know, when we start worrying about things that are out of our control, then we lose our ability to affect change. And so, yeah, I'm not about putting it into somebody else's hands. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.